Hey everybody, my name's Ashley Brooke. I'm 38 years old and I'm autistic. Um, I was nonverbal till I was 7 and I stopped talking again. I went nonverbal from 10 to 11. Um, um, I have some ideas on why. Um, I experienced abuse in every sense of the word consistently for pretty much my whole childhood until I ran away at 12. The abuse was so intense, and I didn't feel that I had a way out. So I think, though I was scared and didn't know if I could do it, I remember praying and asking God. I remember talking to God. I wasn't asking Him. It's like talking to God. I was like, I don't know if I can do this. Like, I don't know if I can take care of myself. I don't know if I can, if I can function. I was 12 when I left, and I had just started talking again, but it was just so bad at home that I knew I had to get out of there. I had to do something. And they were very mean to me, and not just abusive with their own mental health and perversions, but they were cruel to me because of my autism, and it was really not right. At the time, I didn't know that it was because I was autistic. I didn't put it together, but now looking back, I know that they were being mean to me, and more intensely probably because I was different. I didn't fit into their gang mentality world. I wasn't like them. So I left at 12. I remember praying to God to know if I can do it, and then I remember having this thought that came to my mind. I didn't know if it was. I didn't know that it was God. I think today that it was God. I remember having this hearing coming up with that thought in my head, just genuinely care, and I was. And through all my struggle of coming, surviving and coming out of that, out of that lifestyle, that life, trauma and abuse, and going out into the unknown as a child, so unsure of what would happen. I just carried that, that rule, just genuinely care. So I've always just genuinely, put my, attention into everything. And so I ended up walking into a restaurant, and I asked if I could work for food, because at this time I was hungry and I didn't have anywhere else to go or anything to eat. I was really young, when I left home. I would stay the park sometimes and sleep behind the bushes so nobody would see me. And sometimes I would stay at the Astro Burgers in Montebello. Because I knew that cops were there 24/7, so I would stay in the women's restroom and sleep on the floor. Most youth run away to go party, do drugs, or have sex, or do something crazy. I ran away to get away from chaos. Yeah, and it was the opposite for me. Then when I went into this restaurant later and asked if I could work for food, this Thai Japanese couple owned the restaurant, and they looked kind of confused, and they let me eat, and then I helped clean up dishes, and then I asked if I could come back tomorrow, and they were confused, they looked kind of shocked, and then they said yes, and then I kept coming back, and eventually I guess I grew on them, and then they told me that they were thinking of letting me stay with them, but they wanted to talk to my parents first. Told them that I don't know where my dad is. He's on drugs somewhere in the street, probably. And my mom's wheelchair bound. She's home, and I let her talk to them. And I guess they, after hearing my story, they let me. My mom, I guess, told them to take me in if they wanted to. So they let me stay with them for a while, and they taught me a lot of good work ethic and I experienced a totally different life from what I was brought up in. So they taught me something new. It was a really nice feeling. I'm very grateful for that couple that took me in and taught me something different than my, very dysfunctional upbringing. You know, and I always thought, like, if I just get out of that house, and I'll have a fighting chance to get away from this cruel, like, abuse and bullying, So I left, and then I stayed with them for a while, and it was going okay. And by the time I was like 17, I think, I got my own place in Calabasas, and I just felt like I was a burden to them. I didn't want to bother anybody. I didn't think that they would really want to keep me that long. I thought they were just being kind because I was a kid. So as I got older, I by choice just left, and I wish I didn't leave that fast, because they probably were really genuinely cared, and I didn't see it that way because I never had that before, and I'm autistic. So it's like I never experienced that. It was an emotional type of thing that I didn't know how to engage any further. I didn't know how to lock that bond, or build that relationship to where I would still be in their life today. I didn't know how to do that because of I didn't know how to deal with emotional situations that were, when I was unsure of the response or reaction of others. So so that was that. And I've worked a lot in my life, and then I had a child, Ozzy. He's autistic. I left his dad. He's abusive. And then I had Izzy in 2022, and she's autistic too. And I just, at first I was like, oh my God, like, how is this? Like, how, I wondered if it was genetic or if it was, environmental. And I got into research in behavioral epigenetics, and I realized that it's environmental, and it's not, it's not genetic. It's how one interprets their own environment. That's how autism is manifested, in the DNA expression. During the development stages of a child's life, in the womb and up until about the age of 5, the child interprets the environment as too stressful, too stimulating, whether it be to the physical health of the child, or the environment. If it's interpreted as negative stimulation to the body, it will mutate the DNA expression, which means that the DNA does not change. So that's why they say it's not genetic. The DNA does not change; it stays the same. But what it does is it mutates the way that the brain reads the messages and reads the DNA coding. It mutates it. It makes it believe that it's active when it's not. And so what I learned, that it was environmental. I've just been helping my children overcome these barriers, these challenges. Like, I did overcome a lot of my barriers and challenges, and I do today believe that autism is a gift, and I think it's an ability, and it's that for a fact, because we have the ability to use the analytical part of the brain that neurotypicals cannot use if their life depended on it. It may take away from the social communication skills, but that's a learned behavior. You don't need to know it instinctively. So once we can overcome the stigma of society, of everybody being like, oh, what's wrong with you, and trying to push us around and tell us that we're not, that we're nothing, and believing them, as soon as we can just not care what the world thinks and stand up and own it, as soon as we can do that, then we can overcome that stigma of society, and we can learn that social and communication, and then we can also use that very analytical, thorough, efficient thinking processing, and we'd actually be more evolved, using more of our brain, we'd be more well-rounded, we'd be more efficient, effective, and I just want all autistic people to see the facts. Don't hear what the doctors say. Don't hear that, oh, I have this challenge of, I get anxiety, or I get overwhelmed. We live in a fast-paced world today. The fucking world's shit. Who doesn't? A lot of people have these conditions. It doesn't make it. That's not what your autism is. That's effects of the world. Autism is the ability to use your analytical part of your brain, which is a gift from God. Honestly, I just wish that we can build our confidence and self-esteem so that we can think for ourselves, that we can, get together and make some change in the world. I honestly think it's going to take autistic adults to stand together, put their heads together and make a stance, and